Leaves Obama bare, he's losing. It's clear that Barack Obama planned on raking in millions on the paid speaking circuit while receiving an annual $400,000 pension, but as it turns out the free ride could be over him. According to reports, Congress is preparing to introduce a bill that would stop a president's pension if they take outside income of $400,000 or more. Last year, Obama made the controversial decision to veto this bill. Recently, when he accepted $400,000 to give a speech on Wall Street, the bill's sponsors announced they would be reintroducing the measure in hopes that President Donald Trump will sign it. The Obama hypocrisy on this issue is revealing, noted Representative Jason Chaffetz, our Utah and chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. His veto was very self-serving. Chaffetz and Senator Joni Ernst are now gearing up to introduce the Presidential Allowance Modernization Act. This bill would cap presidential pensions at $200,000 and give them another $200,000 for expenses. Last summer, the bill passed both the House and Senate without issue, but Obama argued that it could have unintended consequences and impose onerous and unreasonable burdens on former presidents by requiring them to immediately release their staff and find a new place. But it's not to spot Obama's true motives behind rejecting the measure as he jet sets around the world. Watch Michelle's most pathetic speech. Some of you don't like me because of my skin color. On Tuesday night, former First Lady Michelle Obama made her largest public appearance since leaving the White House, speaking to 8,500 people at the Women's Foundation of Colorado's 30th anniversary at the Pepsi Center in Denver. In the address, Obama said she would always be disliked by some Americans because of the color of her skin. The shards that cut me the deepest were the ones that intended to cut, she said. Knowing that after 8 years of working really hard for this country, there are still people who won't see me for what I am because of my skin color. Obama also said she doesn't want to let racists off the hook by pretending she doesn't feel racism. Women, we endure those cuts in so many ways that we don't even notice we're cut, she said. We are living with small tiny cuts, and we are bleeding every single day. And we're still getting up. She then took a surprising stand for America, a country she says she was never proud of until her husband became president. The people in this country are universally good and kind and honest and decent, she said. Don't be afraid of the country you live in. The folks here are good. What do you think of Michelle's comment? I have only just begun, Trump achieves employment record no POTUS could do in 16 years. President Donald Trump is clearly thrilled with the most recent jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. According to the July report, unemployment has fallen to a 16-year low, from 4.4% to 4.3%, and consumer confidence is at an all-time high. Excellent jobs numbers just released, and I have only just begun, Trump tweeted in response. Many job-stifling regulations continued to fall. Movement back to USA. Trump also announced that over 200,000 jobs have been added back into the economy. This is an additional boost, given that jobs don't need to be added for unemployment rates to drop. President Trump has consistently gone after the mainstream media for failing to give him credit for his major economic wins. In June, he showed that the Dow Jones Industrial Average had hit an American high of 22,000. Economic growth has surged to 2.6% nationwide, Trump said on Thursday. Nobody thought that number was going to happen. Unemployment is at a 16-year low. But don't forget, and I will never forget, the millions and millions of people out there that want jobs that don't register on the unemployment rolls because they gave up looking for jobs, he added. What do you think? Is this a major win for John McCain makes one of the most threatening moves against Trump? Just 1 week after blocking the Obamacare repeal bill, Arizona Senator John McCain has announced his desire to revive a long-standing attempt to reform the nation's immigration system when he returns to Washington. Before McCain left the Capitol to get treatment for brain cancer, he discussed the idea with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. The team has previously teamed up on unsuccessful immigration legislation in 2013 as part of the bipartisan effort known as the Gang of Eight. Immigration reform is one of the issues I'd like to see resolved, McCain said on Thursday. I've got to talk to him, Schumer, about when would be the best time. I think there are all kinds of deals to be made out there. I really do. McCain has been notoriously unsuccessful in this arena, failing to push immigration reform even when former President George W. Bush and Barack Obama wanted it. Now, he has an even greater hurdle in front of him. This comes at a time when McCain is rethinking his position on many issues in the face of his serious illness. We'll know in a few weeks, McCain said of his cancer on Thursday. I hate to use the word beat it, because it's not a matter of beating. You either get cured or you don't get cured. What do you think about? If you're against illegal immigrants, then vote me out, Lindsey Graham challenged the voters. Recently, Lindsey Graham proved just how out of touch he really is when he challenged voters to vote him out if they are against illegal immigration. To the people who object to this, I don't want you to vote for me because I cannot serve you well, Graham said during the press conference. The key here is to be fair to the 1 million immigrants, starting with the Dreamers, but convince people we're going to do what our great friend Ronald Reagan was not able to do. We're going to actually secure the border, control who gets a job, increase legal immigration so people don't have to cheat. Graham didn't stop there. He went on to insist that this is the only way the system will work at all. I've stopped letting 30% of the people who are mad about immigration determine how I behave, he added. To those who feel like you should deport younger undocumented immigrants, boy, I couldn't disagree with you more. He then went on to address President Trump personally. To President Trump, you're going to have to make a decision. The campaign is over. To the Republican Party, who are we? What do we believe? He asked. When they write the history of these times, I'm going to be with these kids. What do you think of Graham's comments? Is his thought process inherently popular restaurant demands veterans remove flag and leave. Let's boycott. Recently, a Dave & Buster's restaurant in Grandville, Michigan demanded that military veterans Victor Murdoch and Adrienne Brown of the American Legion Riders Post 179 either remove their vests or leave the establishment. The vests reportedly depicted the American flag, a bald eagle, and the prisoner of war flag, but the restaurant's management claimed the patches promoted gang-related symbols. The group was asked to remove the jackets or turn them inside out because the business dress code prohibits evidence of gang affiliation, Dave & Buster's said in a statement. Spokeswoman April Spearman said the policy was in place to ensure that everyone is able to enjoy themselves in a fun and safe environment. The American Legion is known as one of the most respected veterans organizations in the United States. It has been around since 1919 and is far from a gang. Instead, it has been working to make life better for veterans. Conservatives have decided to boycott the restaurant until they apologize for this major misstep. Do you agree that the restaurant needs to apologize? Trump protesters blocks road in rage, watch what the driver does next. On Wednesday, anti-Trump liberals took to the streets of St. Louis to protest against police officers. Once again, they ended up blocking traffic in a desperate attempt to make a point. But when one female protester attempted to use her body to stop a drive from continuing down the road, she found herself in a confrontation she didn't expect. When the frustrated driver tells her to get out of the street, the woman taunts him by wagging her finger at his windshield. That's when the driver begins to move towards the woman slowly. Clearly, that only provoked her more. So the driver decided to proceed on the road as usual, and the woman learned that blocking traffic is not exactly the smartest idea. The protests in St. Louis came in response to a suspect who was shot and killed while exchanging gunfire with a SWAT team earlier that day. Members of SWAT were executing a search warrant for narcotics at around 11:30 a.m. Wednesday when the suspect began shooting at them. That's when they returned fire and killed the suspect, who had been identified as Isaiah Hammett, 21. His family quickly came to his defense, calling the young boy innocent. He's been taking care of his grandfather since he was 16 years old, and he threw his grandfather on the floor, and when he thought somebody was kicking in the door he didn't know it was the police, Hammett's grandmother, Dawn Atwell, told reporters. He went and took his grandfather and put him on the floor to be safe, and then goes in there, and next thing you know, he's dead. What do you think? Are you tired of police being demonized in these situations for simply doing their job?